Greetings, everyone. Welcome to week 4 of season 12 of the LDQL. Last week, I finished in 4th place, just outside of the podium. 6th place in week number 2, 4th place in week number 1. So still haven't had a podium finish yet this season, but season standings-wise, I'm doing pretty darn well. Although, it's not super accurate since many people in here have played week 4 already. But we're going to get started here with week 4. Last week was I Hate My New York Jets, written by Jambo, who is a Jets fan, and this week it is I Hate My Miami Dolphins, written by Saluna, who is a Dolphins fan. Question 1, the Miami Dolphins of the NFL last won a playoff game on December 30th, 2000, when this quiz writer was 10 years old. That same year also saw the last new comic of what Charles Schulz comic strip printed in newspapers. Similar to the main character of the comic strip, the Dolphins continually fumble with the football, leaving me heartbroken. This is, of course, Peanuts. Charles Schulz is most famous for writing Peanuts. Number 2, the 1972 Dolphins will always be remembered as accomplishing the first perfect season in NFL history, winning the championship without losing a single game during either the regular season or the playoffs. A perfect season in tennis, known as the Grand Slam, is considered to be winning all 4 majors tournaments in a single year, accomplished only 5 times. Which German is the most recent tennis professional to complete this achievement, having done it in 1988? So, great German tennis player. My first thought here is Steffi Graf, who is one of the best women's tennis players of all time. And I don't know who it would be if it was a man, to be honest. Like, German. I don't know if there's anyone who was quite good enough to do this. So I think Steffi Graf is almost certainly the answer here. Number 3, the 1983 Miami Dolphins season would see them drafting quarterback Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. A famous mariner is what Royal Navy officer who charted North America's northwestern Pacific Coast regions, Hawaii, and portions of the coast of Australia. Both the North American expedition and the city founded where he explored Burrard Inlet during that expedition now take his name. Honestly, I'm not sure how to feel about this question. Like, I feel like it's just Cook, but I don't know. Like, because first of all, what's the city? Like the city that takes his name, like Cook. Like, I can't think of a like really prominent city that has Cook in it, which kind of scares me. Because I know that these are the areas that Cook explored, but he also was like in New Zealand, so it's like, does this make sense? I don't really know, but I don't know what else to say for this because I can't think of another decent answer. I mean, I don't know, I could start thinking of cities and be like, oh, is this named after an explorer? But I feel like there are a lot of cities, and I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't really know where to go with that. So I think I just have to say Cook and hope that that's what's going on and that the city is something I'm maybe not thinking of. Number 4, the first game I ever witnessed and cried about was Dan Marino's final game, a 62-7 loss to the Jaguars. Jacksonville is named after Andrew Jackson, U.S. president from 1829 to 37, who saw 2 states admitted to the Union. Name either. The first was the home state of the 42nd U.S. president, and the second was the home state of the 38th. So, the 38th, I think it goes Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, and I think Ford is 38. And then Carter, Reagan, HW, and then Clinton is 42. I know that Bill Clinton is from Arkansas, because I've been to the presidential library in Hope, Arkansas. But I don't know where Ford is from. I think it might be like Michigan or something, but I'm honestly not sure. So thankfully, we only have to name one. I'm pretty sure Arkansas will be one of them. Number 5, one of the most iconic moments in Dolphins history was when Dan Marino ran a trick play deemed a fake spike to beat the New York Jets, who starred as Madeline White in the real Spike Lee movie Inside Man. Originally a child actor, she would go on to win 2 Academy Awards for her portrayals as a rape victim in The Accused and Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs. So the only thing I know is the last clue there, but Clarice Starling is Jodie Foster. And finally, it has now been 42 years since the Dolphins have been in the Super Bowl. Coincidentally, 42 BC saw another Super Bowl of sorts when the first and second battles of Philippi pitted Mark Antony and Octavian, against which 2 assassins of Julius Caesar, 2 assassins of Julius Caesar being Brutus and Cassius. So, enhancing wise, I think Peanuts is pretty easy. Graph, I think, is pretty gettable. I don't know. Maybe it's harder than I think, but I feel like Brutus and Cassius maybe is a good one to enhance. I feel like some people might know Brutus but not know Cassius because he's like a little more obscure, but that I might just be wrong entirely about that. But the rest of them feel just quite gettable, so I think I will enhance number 6. And, Vancouver. Well, honestly, it wasn't. I like didn't know that Vancouver was a person. I mean, I think that makes sense. Obviously, it makes sense, but I just haven't really thought about what is the city of Vancouver named after, and I don't know what the inlet is or whatever was mentioned in the question. So that was going to be tough for me, to be honest. But maybe should have known that. Should have known that it wasn't going to be Cook because there's no big city named after him, I guess. But I just didn't know what else to put, to be honest. So that's unfortunate. But everything else is right. Michigan was the other one for the presidents. So that's 5 out of 6 and a solid start. Quiz 2 is connections. What connects these four? Sylvianus Ring, Macbeth, Hope Diamond, and Chicago Cubs. So all I'm going off of here is Macbeth and the Cubs, but I'm thinking it could be like curses, like cursed things, because Macbeth is like, oh, the curse, if you like say the name of the play, then it's bad luck or something, so you have to say the Scottish play. And then the Cubs, of course, had the World Series curse where they didn't win for 108 years or whatever it was. So I'm thinking that's hopefully what's going on. I don't know if these other two things are cursed, but it would definitely make sense because they are just like objects. So I'll go with that. Best I've got. What connects these four? Tamed by Bellerophon, daughter of King Minos in French, Enceladus' planet, and Tubkal's range. So tamed by Bellerophon is Pegasus. Daughter of King Minos, I imagine, is Ariadne, although in French, I don't know. It's like Ariane or something. I honestly have no idea. Enceladus' planet would be Saturn. It's a moon of Saturn. And then Tubkal's range is the Atlas Mountains. So what I have is Pegasus, Ariadne, Saturn, and Atlas. And I'm not sure what this is. I have a guess. My guess is rockets, and it doesn't. I guess it doesn't hurt that I was at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida like 4 days ago. But I know that the Saturn V is a rocket. Of course, it's probably the most famous rocket ever. And the others, like, I'm not sure, but I feel like I've heard of, like, Pegasus and Atlas sound reasonable for names of rockets. Ariadne, I don't know. That doesn't really ring a bell at all. But I think Pegasus and Atlas sound at least like they could be. And I feel like I may have heard of them before, but sort of tangentially. So it's like kind of in the back of my head. But I don't know. This feels like a guess that could work. I don't actually know, but I'm not going to come up with anything better. I was thinking, could it be like car models because of Saturn, but like that didn't get anywhere. They also all sounded like they could be just like straight up moons, but that doesn't make sense because there's literally a clue about a moon. And also, well, Saturn wouldn't be a moon, would it? But like, yeah, I thought it could be like astronomical objects, but that didn't really get me anywhere either. So, yeah, rockets is the best guess that I have. Number 3, what connects these 4 clues? We have a city in Czechia, one in Denmark, one in Switzerland, and one in the UK. I don't know what the heck the first two are, but yeah, the one in the UK is Newcastle, I believe. I mean, that's where Newcastle is. Along the sort of eastern coast there. And then the one in Switzerland looks like Neuchâtel. And then once I thought of Newcastle and Neuchâtel, I was like, oh, wait, those both translate to, well, Newcastle. So, yeah, I think the other two are substantially more obscure. So I don't know those cities by name off the top of my head, but, yeah. Neuchâtel, Newcastle should be, well, Newcastle. Number 4, what connects these 4 clues? Muscat, Taipei, Seoul, and Rome. It's funny when you say them out loud, because this one actually took me a while, but then I realized, wait a second. I mean, Muscat, I don't know. I usually say Muscat, so it's like less obvious. I don't know how it's actually supposed to be pronounced, but Taipei, Seoul, Rome, I mean, these are just world capitals. So that's definitely what's going on there. I mean, I guess I should say world capital homophones or whatever. Number 5, what connects these 4 clues? Venus before sunrise in the east, foremost part of a ship, disgraced American cyclist, and fish market in Seattle. Not sure about the Venus one, but foremost part of a ship should be the bow, BOW. The cyclist is, of course, Lance Armstrong, and then the fish market would be Pike Place. So pike, lance, and bow all sound like medieval weapons to me. So that should be what's happening, even if I'm not super sure what the Venus thing is. And finally, number 6, what connects these 4? The last king of Romania, a 7-time Formula 1 world champion, Christian chief of the Angels, and namesake of an SI unit of capacitance. So I'm pretty sure the capacitance unit is the Faraday, and then the Christian chief of the Angels, I was thinking it was Gabriel, but Michael Faraday is definitely his name, and I was thinking, wait, Archangel Michael is also a thing. So I'm thinking these are all just Michaels, because I feel like I've heard of a Michael who was a king of Romania, although I'm not super sure about that. But Archangel Michael and Michael Faraday, I think, makes sense. And then I'm honestly not super sure who the Formula One champion is. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's like a Finnish guy named Mika or something, and it's like it's just variants of the name Michael rather than straight up Michael. I'm not sure because I know that there's like a Mika like Hakkinen or something, but honestly, not sure. But I'm gonna say Michael for this. And then for enhancing, honestly, I'm not actually sure. I don't feel good enough about number two because I feel it could be right, but it's just I just don't feel very good about it. I'm not sure it. I'm just not sure that it's right. And then number three, it's a geography server. Like this isn't easy, but I feel like people will just get this. Four, I think, is too easy. Five feels too easy as well. Six, I'm not sure is right. I'm also not sure one is right. I might go with one though, because I feel like none of those are like super obvious. And I feel like that is what's happening with Macbeth and Cubs. I don't know what else that would be. So I'm going to enhance one. I don't know if that's a silly decision, but we're just going to go with that and hope for the best. Curses is right. Rockets is right. Let's go. Newcastle, Homophones and Capitals, Medieval Weapons, and Michael. Yes. Okay. Michael Schumacher would never have gotten that, but it works. Morning Star was the first weapon. Wouldn't have gotten that either, I don't think. So Novihrady in Czechia and Nyborg in Denmark. I mean, I guess you can guess based off of like the languages roughly what the city names are going to be, but those are both substantially more obscure than the other two. And then they are rockets, so that works. I felt pretty good about Saturn obviously being a rocket, and then the others were like these could be rockets. I'm just not super sure, but that's actually 6 out of 6, which is a super good result for that. Quiz 3 is pop culture. The self-help book Queen Bees and Wannabes by Rosalind Wiseman is often cited as the inspiration for what film? Written for parents of teenage girls to help them understand high school group dynamics. The book never became a cultural zeitgeist in quite the same way its film adaptation did. Stop trying to make Queen Bees and Wannabes happen. It's not going to happen. There's clearly some sort of reference here that I'm missing. I don't know what this is, unfortunately. And I'm just going to guess a movie that I think is about teenage girls, question mark. I'm going to say Mean Girls, and I don't know what that movie is about, and I'm sorry, because you're going to come after me in the comments for never having seen that, because every time I say I've never seen that, people are like, how the hell have you never seen this movie? But that's what I'm saying, so yeah. Number 2, what film character originally adapted from a picture book is hidden in the following pictures, although the character's behavior is not quite as unhinged in the film as in the picture book. The character-titled film is arguably even more mold-breaking. I don't know what's happening here either. Like, the words in here, like the sentences are like insane. I have no idea what this is. There's like some kind of like European looking like castle on the left, and then there's like a crocodile. But I'm so lost here. It's like a movie about some kind of monster, maybe? Like, I don't know. Like that seems to be what's happening, but I don't know what's going on. My thought was like Godzilla. I don't think that makes sense because that's like a Japanese like legendary monster. Like I don't think that came from a picture book, but it might have. I don't know. And I guess this would have to be translated as well because obviously this is in English. But I thought for a while about things that this could be, and I really couldn't think of anything. So I'm pretty sure this is wrong, but I just don't have a guess. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move on with my life. Number 3, what 2003 film starring Rowan Atkinson as the title character was originally created for a series of 1990s adverts for the company Barclaycard? In line with the behavior of some of his previous roles, the film describes Atkinson's character with the tagline, "He knows no fear, he knows no danger, he knows nothing." My guess here is Johnny English, which I think is a parody of James Bond, which makes sense. I know it's Rowan Atkinson, and the only other thing I know Rowan Atkinson as is Mr. Bean, and I don't think this is Mr. Bean, so I think Johnny English makes more sense. Number 4, as any anime enthusiast will tell you, many of the most popular Japanese animated series are adapted from manga. Perhaps less well known is that many of them are adapted from visual novels. 2 examples of these include 2000's classic Clannad and what other intellectual property, I don't understand the grammar here, but whatever, starring a self-titled mad scientist who uses text messages and a microwave oven to travel through time in order to stop the evil organization CERN, based on the very real research organization CERN. Again, I don't have the slightest idea. This is kind of a common theme so far in this quiz. I'm going to say Geneva because that's where CERN is. And I don't know, that could be a name of a person, maybe. Number 5, Expletive, My Dad Says, was a 2009 TV series featuring local intergalactic Captain William Shatner in the role of a very opinionated suburban father. Although largely a commercial flop, this is the first, into the quiz writer's knowledge only, TV series adaptation of Posts made on what website? Again, I don't know what's going on. I'm going to guess a website that I associate with, like, a while ago. So I'm going to say Tumblr. I don't really know anything about Tumblr or what it is or what it's used for, but I don't know. It's a place where people post things, so it's a guess. We're going to just give it a go. And finally, in what is arguably the most difficult to watch adaptation of the quiz, what 2017 movie by Sony Pictures Animation features characters such as High Five and Smiler? This movie is an adaptation of a concept named as the 2015 Word of the Year by the Oxford Dictionary. This, I have to assume, is the Emoji Movie, which is just kind of famous for being garbage. I've never seen it, but High Five and Smiler makes perfect sense for names of emojis, and that also makes sense as a Word of the Year about a decade ago, so we're going to go with that. And then enhancing wise, I don't know because I don't feel good about most of these questions. I think the only two I feel decent about are 3 and 6. I don't know what's harder. I think I'm going to go with 6 because I feel like it's not super obvious, but maybe it is super obvious. I don't know. We'll see. And we'll see if any of my blind guesses were correct. Mean Girls is actually correct. Let's go. Why? Yeah, you don't need to know anything about the movie if you just ran. I don't know. It's like there's a reference in the question. It's about like high school girls. I feel like that's just like kind of where my brain goes. So I don't know. Random references that I don't get. This is just what I guess, and it worked. Let's go. Shrek is crazy. Maybe I should have thought of that because that kind of makes sense, but that's also just hard. I feel like there was not a lot there that really, like the whole lightning thing and the marriage thing didn't really, like, even now doesn't really make me think of Shrek at all. So that seems very difficult, but it's kind of interesting. Johnny English is correct. Steins Gate, I've never heard of in my life. Twitter is, sure, yeah, I mean, that's certainly another platform where people post things. And finally, the Emoji Movie. So that's 3 out of 6. I'll take that, honestly, given Mean Girls was a complete and utter guess. Really could have been worse. Quiz 4. Yeah, this is a jazz quiz. There are audio clips here. I can't play them here for copyright reasons, but I will just leave a link to the clips or, a Google Drive folder in the description as usual. Starting with number 1, the unusual root movement of chords by major thirds heard here characterizes what saxophonist's namesake changes. In addition to this titular track from Giant Steps, he is perhaps best known for his album A Love Supreme. Pretty sure Love Supreme is Coltrane. I don't know about jazz at all. Like, I don't listen to any jazz whatsoever, but doing Quiz Bowl for like 6 years, jazz questions just kind of came up, and I learned some like buzzwords for like this thing was done by this person. So I'm able to kind of fraud my way through this quiz, even though I don't really know the things. I don't know anything substantial about these things. The second one, this clip is the beginning to what jazz standard written by Billy Strayhorn that became a signature tune for the Duke Ellington Orchestra. Its title references a new subway line that had just opened in New York, supposedly the best way to get to Sugar Hill in Harlem. Best way to get to Sugar Hill in Harlem, probably take the A train. Again, this is just, if you ask me what's a thing associated with Duke Ellington, that's the first thing I would say. So it's like, it makes sense. A train, obviously being a subway line in New York City, so that's almost certainly correct. But, like, could I tell you how it goes? No, not at all. Number 3, what singer nicknamed the First Lady of Song is best known for her song A Tisket, a Tasket? Heard here is her famous cover of How High the Moon, to which she added her signature scat singing. First Lady of Song, scat singing just makes me think of Ella Fitzgerald. I hope it's her and not somebody else, but I think that's what's going on here. Number 4, the jazz standard heard here, composed by Kenny Dorham and recorded by Dexter Gordon, is titled For a Blue Version of What Other Style of Music? This style reached widespread popularity with the album Gets Gilberto, and notable composers of it included Antonio Carlos Jobim and Luis Bonfá. Those names are very Portuguese/Brazilian, so I'm thinking, what's the style of music I associate with a Lusophone country? And I just say bossa nova every time because I can't name another one, but that's just kind of the classic, famous Brazilian Genre. Number 5, the jazz standard ornithology was created by Charlie Parker, who was a pioneer of what fast tempo style of jazz with complex chord progressions. This style lends its name to a 1998 anime which follows a group of bounty hunters who travel in a spaceship of the same name. So I was trying to think of types of jazz, and I eventually thought of bebop, and I realized that I'm pretty sure there's an anime called Cowboy Bebop. I couldn't tell you anything about it, but I know it exists, so I think this is almost certainly what's going on. So yeah, not bad. I don't know why anime keeps coming up, but this just keeps getting referenced in these quizzes, I guess. And finally, number 6, heard here is the jazz fusion track Chameleon, which opens with which musician's influential album Headhunters. A prominent pioneer of the synthesizer, he has composed standards like Watermelon Man and Rocket, and also won a Grammy for Album of the Year in 2008 for his tribute to Joni Mitchell. This one I do not know. I'm going to guess Dave Brubeck, because I don't know, that's another jazz person. I don't know if it's the right era. He might be before then. But yeah, this is just not, I don't recognize any of the clues here. So I feel like for a jazz quiz, this has gone pretty well, given I don't really know much about jazz. But yeah, I think my luck ran out finally on question number 6, at least. I think I'll enhance 2, take the A Train, because I feel like you just have to know the title of that, and I think most people probably won't. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about that. And we'll see. Coltrane, Take the A Train, Ella Fitzgerald, Bossa Nova, Bebop, and Herbie Hancock. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Herbie Hancock is another guy. That's another jazz person. But yeah, unlucky. I wasn't gonna pull that. So 5 out of 6 on a jazz quiz. Fine by me. Quiz 5. This quiz is tough. In 2006, Susie Dent, a British lexicographer, made a list of single words coined in each year for the last 100 years to represent preoccupations of the time, although the list is completely subjective. What was Susie's word of the year for 1907? A compound word originally coined to mean a bald person. It gained further notoriety after being used by Richard Nixon against Adlai Stevenson in the 1952 vice presidential debates. A character with this name also later evolved into what became Elmer Fudd. This one took me a while, but I thought of what I think is a pretty good guess. Egghead, I think, would work. I mean, I'm just like, what's a term you could use to describe a bald person? Obviously, it has more of a different meaning today, but that is a compound word, and it could be used to mean a bald person, so that's what I'm going with. Number 2, what was Susie's word of the year for 1924? A word created by Marx and Engels. It is a combination of a German word, usually translated as ragged, and a common Marxist term, meaning people who derive economic value from their labor. So, not super sure, but I'm thinking like proletariat would make sense. I'm not sure what the words that make up the word would be, but I don't know. Ragged plus people who derive economic value from their labor just kind of sounds like proletariat to me, so hopefully that's what's happening, but I'm not sure. Number 3, what was her word of the year for 1945? This 2-word term coined earlier than you might think refers to a technology used today. A Collier's article from 1945 projected that this technology would be just as reliable while driving as it would be at home, and would be particularly useful for commercial drivers and life-threatening situations. This one, I really don't know what's going on. I can't think of a reasonable answer to this. I'm going to say smoke alarm, because I don't know, that's a technology that's still used today. It's good for life-threatening situations. I don't think it's really used in cars, but again, this is an article that might have been wrong about that, so it's a guess. I really don't know what this is, and I'm probably going to facepalm when I actually see it, but I can't think of it. Number 4, what was Susie's word of the year for 1956? Originally gaining uses relating to Rudolph Valentino, this 4-letter adjective saw a resurgence in 1956 relating to Brigitte Bardot's performance in And God Created Woman, which also saw the creation of a similar term with a feline-related addition. I don't know what's going on here either. I just kept trying to think of 4-letter adjectives that could fit for this. The best thing I thought of was sexy, although I have no idea when that term came into common parlance, or if it makes any sense here. But I feel like that's kind of what Brigitte Bardot is like. I don't know. I think she's known as kind of a sex symbol. I hope I'm not wrong about that. I don't actually know. But yeah, I'm not very good with old film things or whoever Rudolph Valentino is. So this is probably completely off base, but it's the best guess that I have. Number 5, what was Susie's word of the year for 1974? This music genre began seeing significant popularity gains in 1974 following the opening of New York City's CBGB, which saw performances from groups like Blondie, the Ramones, and the Patti Smith Group. So these are like rock bands, but obviously rock and roll was a thing before 1974, so It's not just that. My guess here is punk, because like punk rock is obviously a genre that exists. I don't know if that's the right thing or if it's another type of rock, but I feel like it's going to be some kind of subgenre. And this is just the best one that I could come up with, because I think again, I don't really know what punk is, but I think this could be right for the bands listed. I'm not sure. Again, this quiz is just a bunch of kind of guessing and hoping, because I'm really not sure about basically any of these. Finally, number 6, what was Susie's word of the year for 1989? Originally a drink coming in only one form, it is still popular today, although today people often order this drink with extra flavoring like caramel brulee or cinnamon dolce. Again, I don't know, like, what's a drink that you could, like, I'm thinking like Frappuccino or something would work. I don't know. Was that a thing in 1989? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But these just sound like flavors for like coffee related drinks, and they sound sweet, and it's like, okay, sure, like it makes sense if that was invented in 1989, like, but again, it doesn't even have to be Starbucks. It could be anything. I could be completely off base. I don't know what to enhance here, because I don't feel confident about like pretty much any answer at all. I think Egghead is probably the one I feel best about, because it just makes a lot of sense. Proletariat, I think, has a decent chance of being right. Punk, again, also, I feel like definitely is a solid guess, but it could be some other rock thing. And then the rest of them, I just don't feel good about at all. Frappuccino, maybe, but like, I don't know. I'm not confident at all about this quiz, but I hope at least that number 1 is correct, so I can get a few extra points for it. But we'll see. Egghead, nice. What the hell? Wait, sexy is correct? That's crazy. But latte? It's just latte? Are you kidding me? Okay. Okay, so what the heck is lumpen proletariat? Am I supposed to know what the heck is that word? What? So it's not just proletariat? Lumpen proletariat. What? Is this like a word that people use? I have never seen this before. That is an insane word. I have no idea what that is. Okay, mobile phone makes perfect sense, I guess. It makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, that's coined earlier than you expect, but it just didn't cross my mind for whatever reason. I was trying to think of like technology things, and I don't know. It didn't happen, so that's unfortunate. Sexy is correct. I'm very happy about that, because that was a total shot in the dark. But latte is unfortunate, because latte, I mean, that's just the Italian word for milk. Like, I would have assumed that was a thing before like 1989. Like, that's just weird. And also the flavorings, like, I guess lattes have flavoring. Like, you can get like vanilla or pumpkin spice or whatever, but like, I don't know. Honestly, that's just not where I was. I felt like, I don't know. Frappuccino in my head just made a lot more sense as a guess. So maybe that's just more of a modern thing, but whatever. Honestly, yeah, 3 out of 6, not great, but that's a really tough quiz. Lumpen proletariat is an insane answer line. I don't know what that is. But yeah, that was hard. But I got lucky on number 4, so I guess it could have been worse. Quiz number 6 is all about country borders, which is very good for me, because this is, I don't know, I just visualize things this way, so this quiz kind of comes pretty naturally to me. Number 1, the straight line section of this 600 kilometers between what 2 countries was delineated by the Sykes-Picot Agreement in the early 20th century. This is the border between Syria and Iraq. I wouldn't have been sure about what exactly, I mean, I know Sykes-Picot is like that part of the Middle East, but I wouldn't have known exactly. But again, I can just look at this border. I can tell it's Syria in the northwest and Iraq in the southeast. The Javari River sets the upper third, about 500 kilometers of this border between what 2 countries? This one actually took me a sec, but I'm pretty sure that I have it. I believe it's Brazil and Peru, with Brazil on the left Brazil on the right and Peru on the left, because the state of Acre in Brazil is kind of in the southern part of this, and then like just that shape is kind of exactly how the eastern part of Peru looks. Javari River is like not that easy, because that feels kind of almost linguistically ambiguous. Like, it almost sounds like it could be like Indian or something. But yeah, after a while of staring at this, I was like, yeah, this is Brazil and Peru. Number 3, several pre-independence Anglo-Portuguese agreements define this 1,110 kilometer border between what 2 countries? So this should be Angola on the left and Zambia on the right. I think the whole Anglo-Portuguese thing is a pretty big clue here, but it's also that like the shape of Angola, the fact that it has that little protrusion to the right is very distinctive. So that's what's happening at the top there. Number 4, agreements on the flow of goods and people across this border occurred in 1923, 1993, and 2019. What two countries share this border? This one actually took me longer than anything else in the quiz, which it probably shouldn't have, but the border itself just didn't look as distinctive to me. I metagamed it a little bit by looking at like where the other ones were, and we had like Asia, we had South America, we had Africa, we had Asia again, and Asia again. So it's like, okay, we haven't had a European one, and it would make sense for there to be a European one. And then it hit me. I was like, wait a second, this is literally just like Ireland and Northern Ireland, which, yeah, didn't occur to me immediately. But once I saw it, I was like, okay, that's definitely what's going on there. Number 5, despite their border's length, 2,416 kilometers, there are only 6 permanent border crossings between what two countries? That one is long enough for me to kind of recognize that it's the western part of Thailand. So this should be Thailand. And what the heck? Did I just... what did I just do to the window? Did it come back? Okay, that was weird. Should be Thailand and Myanmar, because that's just sort of the western edge of Thailand. And finally, number 6, this 2,330-kilometer border used to have a much larger section that was underwater. What two countries share it? So the larger section underwater was the Aral Sea, which is now mostly dry. But this is pretty recognizable, I think, as the northern border of Uzbekistan with Kazakhstan, because honestly, that's like almost like most of the outline of Uzbekistan. So, these all should be right, I think, unless I'm like wrong about the Brazil-Peru thing, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. And I think I'm going to enhance that one too, because it feels maybe a little less distinctive than the others. I would enhance Angola, Zambia. The issue is like, I just feel like the Anglo-Portuguese clue is such a big clue for this. Because it's just like that puts you straight there. There's not that many countries that were Portuguese colonies. So I think I will go with number 2. I don't know if that's the right call, but we'll see. Is that a taxi? Yeah, it looks like it. So yeah, that should be 6 out of 6 at least, I hope. Syria, Iraq, Peru, Brazil, Zambia, Angola, UK, Ireland, Thailand, Myanmar, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. That is all 6. Good stuff. Love a geography quiz, especially a visual one like that, because again, that's just kind of how my brain works. I just see the borders and I'm like, yep, I've seen that before. And finally, quiz number 7, which is all about the physics that physics does, and is of course written by physics. While it is possible to gain energy from fusion from many elements, the most promising choice for commercial fusion energy is from fusing isotopes represented by what 2 letters? The daughter products of the reaction are a neutron, a helium-4 nucleus, and 17.6 mega electron volts of energy. So, isotopes represented by letters, it's like, okay, my immediate thought is that it's deuterium and tritium, which are heavy water and, well, okay, not, I say heavy water, they're not, they need oxygen for that, but it's just, you know, the isotopes of hydrogen that actually have neutrons. So deuterium is 1 proton, 1 neutron, tritium is 1 proton and 2 neutrons, which, if you reacted them together, you would end up with 2 protons and 3 neutrons, so helium-4 nucleus has 2 and 2, and then there's an extra neutron, so that makes perfect sense. That adds up. So it should be D and T would be the letters. Number 2, atomic nuclei are positively charged and repel each other. However, at distances less than about 1 femtometer, what other force is many times larger than the electromagnetic repulsion allowing for nuclei to fuse? So, not sure, but it's like, it's going to be one of the fundamental forces, probably. It's not gravity, so it's either the strong or the weak, and I think it's the strong force, would be my guess, just because we're talking about atomic nuclei, and I know that the strong force is what holds them together with, like, the gluons and stuff, if I'm not mistaken. So, hopefully it is the strong nuclear force. Number 3, what element is considered to be the leading candidate for the inner walls of nuclear fusion devices? This element is chosen because it melts at 3,695 Kelvin, higher than any other element, and unlike molybdenum, which sits above it on the periodic table, it does not produce dangerous radioactive materials when bombarded with neutrons. So element with the highest melting point, I believe, is tungsten. I don't remember my periodic table well enough to know what's below molybdenum, but I'm pretty sure molybdenum is a transition metal, and tungsten is 74, I think, and it's also a transition metal, so I think it works. I think it makes sense. I'm just not exactly sure about the positioning, but highest melting point, I think, is tungsten. Number 4, the largest stellarator in the world is located in Greifswald, Germany, in one of over 80 labs named for what scientists. The stellarator has a major radius of 5.5 meters, which would be 3.438 times 10 to the 35 of the length units named after this scientist. So a scientist with a very, very tiny length named after him is Max Planck. Max Planck, I mean, the Planck length is just like the... I don't remember what it is exactly. It's like the shortest possible... Not shortest possible length, but it's the shortest length for some like purpose or some reason. I don't remember what it is exactly. I should know, but anyway, the Planck length is definitely a thing. Number 5, like many scientific fields, fusion research often uses code written in what language of the portmanteau name that was first introduced in 1956 by IBM. Some of the older codes are written in the version released in 1977, but if you're lucky, you might be working with the more modern 1990 version that included advanced capabilities like allowing variables to be longer than 6 characters. Not sure programming language of the portmanteau name. My first thought is Fortran. I don't know what that stands for, but I'm pretty sure it's a portmanteau. And it is a programming language, so it's just the best thing I'm going to come up with here. Finally, number 6, what numerical method that was given the code name of a famous casino is commonly used to model complex systems by simulating many random events and using statistical methods to constrain the solution. This is the Monte Carlo method, which is something I'm fairly familiar with from taking a lot of math and stats, so that one is definitely correct. And finally, what to enhance? Probably the first one. I feel like deuterium, tritium, I feel like that's definitely not trivial, and the rest of these feel a little easier. That or I don't know them. Like strong force, I'm worried it's the weak force. Fortran, I think it's a guess that makes sense, but it definitely doesn't have to be right. And the rest of these feel a little easier. So 1 it is. And we shall see. D&T, strong force. Tungsten, Planck, Fortran, and Monte Carlo. Let's go. Nice. 6 out of 6 on the final quiz. So I had a few 6 out of 6s today, which is very nice. But there were also a couple quizzes that were definitely rougher. But honestly, quite happy with the result overall. And that does it for the quizzes. And we should have the results quite soon. But yeah, I think I did pretty well. If anything, looking at the standings, it wouldn't shock me if I am in second place here. But yeah, it'd be nice to get my first podium finish of the season. So we'll see if I can do that. But that was a fun set of quizzes as always. I will see you guys for a second, for the recap. Right, so final standings for the week. I did, in fact, finish in second place, just behind Max. Very solid score. I got 6 out of 6, 3 separate times. So even though there were a couple quizzes that didn't go super great for me, overall it was still quite good. And I am in second place, just behind Can Opener in a Can, after the first 4 weeks of the season. 4 out of 5. So week 5, next one is the last one. And then there will be a championship after that, which is exciting as well. I will take a look at the stats, assuming they've been posted. Have they been posted? Interesting. I'm not sure the stats have been posted. Well, it would be nice to see them. Why didn't he post them? Maybe he just hadn't made them yet. One sec, I'll ask. All right, so here are the stats for the week. Quiz number 1. Yeah, let's see. I don't know if it's it. Okay, Vancouver was almost 50%, so I guess I was trolling there. I don't know. People just are good at geography, but I didn't know what was going on there. Fair play. That's an impressive get right on that one. Brutus Caches was, in fact, the hardest one, though, so I'm glad that I did enhance that. Quiz number 2 was the connections. Yeah, rockets was the hardest, which makes perfect sense. I didn't feel very good about that one, but I definitely thought it could be right. 50% on Newcastle. So as expected, that one was pretty high. It was actually higher than the homophones of capitals, which is crazy because it seems that one's so much more niche, but it's just like GeoGuessr players just think more that way, I guess. But yeah, so the cursed one was 45%. So honestly, pretty good enhanced job again. The only harder one was the rockets. Number 3, yeah, Mean Girls at 70%. That checks out. Shrek was at 40, so apparently that was kind of gettable, but I just really had no idea what to do with that one. Steins Gate was the hardest at 23, and I enhanced the easiest question in the quiz, so that was a mistake. Whoops. Unlucky there. Quiz number 4 was the Jazz one. Hardest was Herbie Hancock, which, again, that does make sense. I enhanced Take the A Train, which, again, was the correct decision. Okay. Egghead played at only 42%, so yeah, I guess Skinhead. I mean, that's actually a very valid guess. I maybe got a little bit lucky with that one because I wasn't actually confident that it was right. Lumpen Proletariat played at 20%. I don't even know who the 20% are. That, like, I don't know what that word is. That's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, I was never ever getting that. Sexy played at 45. Punk played at 70. Latte was 60. So apparently I don't know. I should have known the latte one, I guess, but it's just not where my head was at. Oh, well. Number 6, hardest one was, it was a tie between Thailand, Myanmar, and Brazil, Peru. Interesting. Thailand, Myanmar came to me immediately, so I thought that one was going to be easier, especially because it's like Thailand's in Street View, and it's like you look at that a lot, but I think that's fair. It's not super obvious what it is to a lot of people, but Zambia, Angola was easier, so I'm glad that I enhanced Brazil, Peru. And finally, this one here. Pretty uniform get rates, kind of. Hardest was Fortran, which makes sense. I wasn't confident enough to actually guess that. But the next hardest was DT. So again, I think I did the right thing there too. So very solid week. Not quite number 1, but pretty darn close. So happy with the result. Best result, or best finish at least placement-wise of the season so far. And I will see you very soon for week number 5, the final week of the regular season, and then the championship after that. Until then.